Hello and welcome back to A Fox's Life. This is Devlog number 4, and I've got quite a bit to show you guys. We've done quite a handful of things, and I'm starting to see the end in sight of this map, which is something that we are very happy about. So the first thing is really kind of neat. I wanted a menu for this map, something that uh, you can navigate at any time. Currently, you can only navigate when you log out and log back in. It takes you back to the menu. So, like, that's your save game, so to speak. So, uh-oh. And that takes us to the mini games. But I'm going to go back first. So, basically, it's a simple, you scroll and you can select. Malice from the Brick Masons team always does menus like this, and I think they look great. This fox thing up here is just going to be replaced later with the actual image of the icon for the map, which is understandable that it's not. What's really neat though is there's settings. You can select the difficulty depending on what you want. You can reset the entire map, which I haven't implemented yet just for safety reasons, and there's going to be other settings later, potentially. And then credits I don't think I've set up yet. I could be wrong. I haven't touched this menu system in a little bit. Credits is something you do at the end when you actually have all the credits. But if you want to select a mini game, we'll do that. So this, it might look a little confusing, but this is player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4. And if you select your character, then the next one will be selectable by another player. And what's cool about using titles and Telras, mostly titles, is this is always, it's per player. So if I'm player 1, I select it, it turns green, and then it fades away. That fade away happens once everybody selects their thing. So the mini games we have PvE, Dripstone, and another one. I'm using the same background image for all of them right now. And you can also go back to the adventure. But we'll go ahead and let's play the PvE minigame. Get an F5 mode. So what's interesting is you don't have any of your items. I guess you can see the diamonds, but I might have to make a setting for that. Not that it matters. That stuff doesn't really matter. But the tutorial text down at the bottom, which we already saw and I missed as it was happening. So the game starts off pretty easy. Get some emeralds. And then later, you can buy amethyst shards, quartz, or sweet berries. So, let's see. First couple waves are a little slow just so you can kind of figure out what's going on. But the main thing I wanted for, like, the reason I wanted minigames is I wanted a reason to come back to the map. So, like, if you have your save, you can just log in, play some minigames, and then it doesn't bother your save at all. And then maybe you'd be intrigued to go back and actually play the map, collect some more diamonds, and whatnot. So now we have 20 emeralds. We can buy, let's buy an extra heart so you can see it. Buys a heart, and then you get a little bit of regen at the end of each round. So it's just, pretty simple PvE, nothing crazy complicated. Just a little bit of fun to have between games. And I'm going to go ahead and die here. There we go. And that's the wave you died on. So I died on wave 4. And there's also high scores and other stuff too. Oh. Looks like I shouldn't have that tag anymore. I don't know what block test is. Oh, I do. Never mind. So that's the mini games. There's another one that's already been created, but I kind of want to save it for you guys to actually play it. Our goal is to have at minimum 3, but you know how that goes. So if I go back to creative, this will eventually hide away. So that's one big chunk that we've been working on. And another big chunk is the Sun Hater City. I'll give a brief overview of this area. Very lava heavy. I think it looks pretty good. We've decided to cut out the nether in terms of actual diamonds being there. We're just going to use the nether for fast travel. Unless we might have an addition later to the map too. So maybe we will have a nether diamonds, but for the first release, we're not planning on it. So you come down here. Most likely, this is how you enter. There's another area you can enter. There's a few things to do around. You can figure it out. But what I wanted to take note of is something that we're trying to keep in mind in terms of level design. So first of all, it has to look good in F5. That's kind of like our biggest rule. You can't have parts where you're constantly butting up against walls and it does this camera and makes you kind of sick. But another thing I've been kind of focusing on lately is shaders. I want it to look good with shaders because I feel like because it's more of a chill map, you're not dealing with high intensity battles most of the time. Sometimes you are. But I want things to be fairly good looking with shaders. And of course lava, it's hard to look bad. But part of shaders' problem for like an adventure map like this is pathing. So there's a path that goes along here, but you can't tell without the lava. And so really dotting lights along helps with that. So like right here, here's an amethyst block for setting your spawn. Well, there's the parkour right there that you would use it for. But like there's points of interest along here, and you can't really see all of them. And so we just add, that's what all of these lights here. The soul flames are really good for that. They pop, they stand out. You see a whole bunch of blue lights like up there, those pop out. And that kind of helps guide the player. That, and with this area, lava is real helpful for just dotting it along the path. And that makes it kind of a little bit more fun because there's dangerous holes, of course. So I really like the way these reflect with the shaders on. And actually the recording from, if I look at it on the other screen, it looks like it's actually brighter than it is. So maybe this will actually be good for recording. I'm not sure yet. But I'm not going to spoil too much of the Sun Hater City. It's mostly just lava and fun things. There's a game show over here. That's fun. But I'm going to go ahead and turn this off just to make the recording a little bit smoother for everybody. I can run shaders, but sometimes it's easier to just not worry about it. So that brings me to the next thing I would like to share, and that's music. Let me get this to a volume that's not too bad. Okay. So this is the music at Sun Hater City. I think it is a little loud. Yeah, I think that hopefully that in the volume recording. That's fine. But one thing that you can't really do much with music is really anything. You can play it, you can stop it, and that's where the line is kind of drawn. But I wanted a fade effect because you're constantly going between areas, and I want it to fade to the next area. And I don't want it to be cut, and if you go back and forth a few times, like on a bridge or something, I don't want it to be play, cut, play, cut, play, cut, and then it's real choppy sound. It doesn't sound very good. I really wanted a fade effect to fade out. It can start fast because we can build that into the song, but the fade out at any time, that's not always easy. And so I've created a method of doing that if we fade up here. So it kind of fades out. I think it still needs maybe a little bit of tuning, but we can hear it again. Yeah. So if I fly to, let's fly to Pillager Central, which has its own music. This area is quite unfinished right now. I'll turn it up just a hair because it's quite a... So it's playing. Let's say I want to go into the Cobweb Caverns. And then music plays from here. I'll turn it up a little bit more. Now I don't know if you can discern that, how the fade effect, how strong it is, how good it is, but to me it's quite noticeable. It makes it a lot better for sounding. So I'm hoping it's good enough for the map. And the trick we used for it is pretty interesting. Basically, instead of just playing one soundtrack, I guess I'll go into creative. So like we play a song. Let me grab some blocks to demonstrate it. Oh. And the song just keeps playing, and then you cut it out. Also, I can't think when I hear music. But the way I'm doing it is I'm playing several tracks, and I'm just going to use 3 for the example here. But you play your main track, which is at 50% volume, and you cut it off where you need to. But then you play your 25% or whatever track and cut it off just a little bit later. So it's quieter overall because the 50% gone. And then you have another 25%, and you cut that off just a little bit later. And so that's how you get your fade. And what's cool is I don't need to store the song several times. In the resource pack, you can define that several different names call the same sound effect. And so it doesn't really change the size of the resource pack, other than like maybe a kilobyte by the end of the entire map with all of the soundtracks. So it's very simple actually to implement, but it's kind of hard to fine tune because sometimes they kind of muddle together and sometimes they don't and cause problems. So we've got that. I think the music, Tao's been doing a good job on. I'll try not to spoil too much of it or get it too annoying. So last thing I wanted to show off was something in the axolotl aquifer. And this is an ability you don't actually get here. This is an ability you get elsewhere, but it's something that you're going to need here. And that is, so normally you have pounce. You can jump. But when you're in water, you can't really pounce. It doesn't let you, like you're swimming, you can't jump. And that's what triggers the pounce. Once you jump, that's how the pounce gets triggered. So I press spacebar, and then it pounces. So I wanted a different ability that's mobility focused, because you still bite still works fine in water, and interact is important. So I wanted to replace pounce with something that's kind of helpful, and that's where I'll get to up here. That's where water rip comes into play. And apparently my resource pack didn't save that, but basically water rip. It's kind of like when you use the trident. That's why the sound is that way. You get a little boost in speed. And it's not super fast where you can't just spam it. But it's fast enough to make a big difference in the water. Of course, you still die if you touch water without the conduit power. So there's a conduit in this area. If you get way over here, you start losing that, and you'll die. You can't water rip when you're when you're dead. But I think for adventure maps and specifically like maps where you're not really dealing with items as much as just abilities, unlocking abilities over time or upgrading them is like the most important part of giving the game long-term value. So like, let's say there's a door. Once you get a certain level of pounce, then you can jump up over the door. And so it changes the world, changes how you think about the world over time. And changing world is very powerful. Some games do you see like a little hook up in tall places like up there. And you're like, well, what's that for? And then later you get like a grappling hook where you can hook onto it or something. And so you try to remember all the places where you saw it. So changing your items and your abilities is, to me, it's really fun. It changes how you think about the game itself. So that's a lot of what we've done. You can see quite a few things I'm flying over. I'm trying not to spoil everything, but there's quite a few things we've been working on. So let me no, I can stay a fox for the outro. There we go. Oh, not too high. So I hope this kind of opens your eyes of like why this map is taking so long. We're at I think 85 out of 105 diamonds, which is to me is quite a few. So we're pretty close to having everything done in terms of diamonds. We've got 2 areas left to build. One area has a couple diamonds, and one area has 1 diamond. So 4 areas, and all of the diamonds will be done. One thing that I've been planning on is getting all the diamonds done, like in terms of functionality. And once those are done, then as the whole map's being play tested by some, then we can go in and make things look better and work better and sound better and improve things we felt like we didn't have enough time for, while the playtesters are also pointing out stuff that is very bad because we overlooked it. So this is a big map, but we've made big progress. Thanks for watching this devlog, and I'll see you in the next one.